What's happening, boys? All right?
Nah. Shite.
Straight off the bat. Well done, Kev. There goes the £4.50 we could have been getting for this one. Straight down the tubes.
Straight in the bin.
I'll get an extra £5, no problem.
That's sound.
I'll take it, obviously. And we've lost Corbett because he's purposely cut his power lines at his house so that he didn't have to be on here tonight as well. So,
I don't even think that's a joke, to be fair. I think anything to not, or anything to get out of having to do this one.
Exactly. He's too busy spray painting bed sheets.
That's probably it. Actually, wait till you travel along Gorgie on tomorrow morning. Everyone in their dog will be out on a bed sheet saying, "Get this person out." So yeah. Now, welcome back to This Is My Story. You do have the pleasure of me tonight, and I'm choked to the cold, and I didn't see any of the game on Saturday, so I'm still happy clapping in my head. Wait. Actually, last week was horrendous, so maybe no. But I didn't even podcast last week, so I'm just purposely trying to stay away from being anything negative. But Kev, how are we? You all right?
I'm fine. I was not fine on Saturday night. I was not fine on Sunday. Still raging Monday. I know we're into Tuesday evening. I'm maybe starting to mellow a little bit, but given the fact that I'm nearly 50 and I've still not seen Hearts win the League Cup, you can say what you want about it being a wee cup and all that shite, but I'm still pretty flipping upset that I've not seen Hearts win it.
Just you watch your blood pressure, Kev. Come on.
But my
blood pressure. I don't know, but you said flipping, so it's just as bad. Ando, how are we doing?
Oh, I'm delighted to be here. I think the ready that I took on Saturday afternoon has only just calmed down. Absolutely still embarrassed for that. It is an absolute joke, but we'll cover that in more detail. Otherwise, I'm all good. All good. Glad to have you back. Your wee smiling face and your crap patter. But it's
actually, do you know what you done on Saturday? Did you fuck it?
No, I watched the famous Heart and Midlothian Football Club, didn't I? And it was just it's like
that embarrassing.
It's exactly. It's like it's an embarrassing watching to be associated. I say associated, but we're not really. But you know what I mean. The to nail your colours to that mast and then just have to sit and watch that was absolutely shite.
Fair. I was glad to be at a wedding, put it that way. Definitely. Anyway, so well, basically, obviously, as we already have touched on, we'll go over the Falkirk game. We'll try and be a bit positive about this because Hearts are off to Europe again this Thursday night in Plzen. Is that how you say it?
I think so.
It is.
Czech Republic. A few of the boys are already away that we know. And then, obviously, even more glamorous, we've got Motherwell on Sunday. So, away. So, I will kick us off with some headlines. Kev, you said it wouldn't happen on Thursday. What happened on Thursday, Kev?
I never said that. I was told, let's set the record straight. I was informed that things would not happen until last Thursday. And I told my mate that he was an absolute walloper for saying it would be actually on Thursday. Lo and behold, it was Thursday. So you know who you are. I am apologising on the podcast. You were right. I was wrong. Let's wait and see what Mr. Salazar looks like. Not quite sure of his chin strap, I believe that's what it's called. I don't even think Tam could pull that off, so maybe we need to get rid of that one.
Just can't even grow it. So,
well, it is that, mate.
Right. The penny drops. This is some sort of a facial hair arrangement.
Yes, mate. Correct.
A little bit on the chin.
The old clunge sponge. Right, get you. Right.
Oh, there's a show name.
I will stay away for that one.
So, are we all excited to see him? How are we feeling? I know we've probably discussed him before. Nobody really knows much about him. Aye. Ando, any thoughts?
Aye. Anything to add, more quality to the squad can only be a good thing. However, I do have to temper that with the fact that it's just another player that we could possibly have to rotate at some stage at some point in the season. We've just seen what's happened when we've rotated the team twice in 2 weeks and just seen how much an absolute disaster that's been. So I think I didn't want us to be in a situation where we're short in any position. So as I say, it's a good idea. It's a good thing that we've got him in because it gives us strength in that area of the park. Gives us alternative options. I just didn't want to see everybody getting shunted around like pieces on a chessboard and no one knowing what they're doing. But yeah, I'm probably thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead here. But overwhelmingly positive, I think. He's got a decent write up from what I've heard. Seems a bit of a no nonsense lad, so that can only be a good thing. And when he inevitably gets sent off at some stage this season, then well, we can just bring Nat Atkinson back, can't we?
Well, at least we're no Chelsea in regards to rotating players. I mean, they'll go through about 8 rotations in a month.
Aye.
Well, that's just the managers as well.
Aye,
well,
they've got thousands of players now. It's like they just sign everybody up to a 9-year deal. Like that's not going to come and bite them in the face at some stage. But never to help with Chelsea. Who cares about them?
Correct, mate.
True. No, I agree. I'm looking forward to him. You make a good point about getting rotated, moving position. Look at Taylor now in terms of his confidence. It looks a wee bit blown from what it was that first game we see him. So hopefully we just tell him to do the business and get on with it. Kev?
I think what's interesting about the element of rotation, given the performances of what we've seen from the players, I actually think the boy Penrice at that sort of left-hand side looks fairly, I think he looks actually half decent. Not up to the level yet of what we've seen Cochrane in over the last sort of couple of seasons, but definitely there's positive signs there. So I'm wondering if they look to maybe move Penrice more into that sort of midfield, that left-hand side of midfield. Salazar, if the plan is to bring him in to play as a left back and move Kingsley in to take that left-hand side of the centre halves. Not sure. Interesting one.
To be honest with you, I know Salazar comes with a bit of pedigree and stuff, more than what you would from somebody you've signed for Livingston, whoever he played with before, was it Thistle or something? But Penrice has done nothing wrong, particularly, has he? So I couldn't say he comes straight in for me, but you probably have to play your best 11. So Definitely. He's been training with a couple of weeks now. I don't know if he'll be in the European squad. Probably signed too late, was he? Or
not for this week, not for the Plzen playoff games, I believe. I don't think he was registered quick enough. Just due to Ando, you called it out last week, the unfortunate situation with regards to the government in this country.
So what it is, and I'm happy to be corrected on this, and if you wish to correct me, then send Tam a tweet, and he can tell me. But it's to do, I think, see when you get registered for a work permit, there's a piece of paperwork that you need in order to leave the country right away. So effectively, it's like some sort of ID card or something like that, digital passport or whatever the hell it is. But that normally takes 7 to 10 days after your visa's approved. So it's just, as I said last week, red tape, due process, paperwork, whatever you want to call it, so that the likelihood is the critical document that he needs in order to leave the UK again, he won't have ahead of Thursday. So, but it is, again, it's just paperwork. There's nothing, if the fixture had been reversed and we were playing at home in the first leg, wouldn't have been an issue. So just unlucky in that sense.
Yeah. Well, that was a good wee segue actually to what we're going to talk about next. But European game next Thursday night. Just wanted to highlight, well done to Hearts, because I think we've priced it pretty well. I was expecting 30, 40 quid maybe for a European game. Obviously, we want that game to be as busy as possible, get the home advantage of the second leg as well. But 20 quid for an adult, is it? I don't even know how much kids were. 10 or something roughly, was it? Something like that.
10 for like 18, and then for under 12s was like 6 quid or something like that. So it was actually very well priced. It'll be interesting to see where we go next after that, whether it's Europa or the Conference League, and what the pricing will look like for those games.
Yeah, I certainly think they'll do one of those sort of season ticket things, don't they? Like when it's the 4 games included in one, or 5 games included in one-off cost, which fair enough if they do it to quite a pop. I don't know if we'll get that when it gets to the league stage type thing, but fair enough in the playoff when we need it, short notice, as busy as possible. Certainly.
Yep.
Exactly sorry, Kevin, you go.
No, I'm just going to say probably what you were going to say. It's exactly that. You look at last season's game against Rosenborg, the place was full. We went 1-0 down pretty early on in the game. Shankland gets a goal back. Place starts to liven up again. Tynecastle under the lights, we speak about it, every season. And then, of course, with the 2 goals in the last couple of minutes, or last 10 minutes of the game for Devlin, it was one of the best atmospheres anyway at Tynecastle last season. And I think the majority of us called that out when we did a review of last season back in May.
Agreed. And I was in Mallorca for that one, so that was good. So I probably shouldn't go next week, to be honest with you, actually. But I will be there, I'm afraid. Sticking with the European theme, obviously, there was reports at the weekend that Kelly were considering asking for postponement for the SFA for their game on, well, actually, it'll be the SPFL, sorry, but for the postponement of the game on Sunday. Do you think that's something Hearts should look at?
See, before we get to
fine
that,
with Kelly doing it?
before we get to that, what's the grounds for the requesting of the postponement? Like, have they got exceptional circumstances?
They've just said because of the European competition, to be fair.
Okay.
Give them extra time to prepare. Because I think they travelled to
Aberdeen.
Well,
Kelly,
no, I meant
Aberdeen.
Their away first game.
All right, Denmark. Play Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
Yeah, so that's right. Okay, so a couple of things. Copenhagen is not an arduous trek, right? It's an hour and a bit to get there, if that, right? It's no real distance at all. They don't have travel. Pardon me. They don't have to travel far to an airport, so I'm sure they'll use Prestwick or whatever, which is right on their doorstep, right? Door to door, nice and easy, right? But then if they are traveling away to Aberdeen, there's no difference, right? For me, every other team has bigger hardships to endure than this one, right? So I think on general principle, the SPFL will turn around and tell them absolutely no way, because I'm sure Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, Aberdeen, whoever's been in Europe over the last few seasons has had bigger hardships to endure than Kilmarnock, right? That said, I do think it's a good thing to ask for. Right? I don't. Well, I'm just telling
the way
you.
I thought you were going after all that list of stuff you just went off.
Well, no, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you why the SPFL won't do it.
Yeah, true.
Because they're a shower of shit bastards. Also, they've never done it before, to my knowledge. They've never helped out Rangers or Celtic, who, let's be honest, they're our biggest forces in Europe, aren't they? They're there every season, usually playing a multiple amount of games. Whether they've made similar requests and been denied, I don't know. But yeah, the powers that be won't allow it to happen on that principle alone. But I do think it's a good idea, because your national association should be doing everything possible in order to try and benefit the teams in Europe, because not only does it give your national association a little bit more prestige and sort of potentially the effect of improving the coefficient and all that sort of chat. Some people like the coefficient to do well. Some people don't care. I'm in the second camp. I don't really care what other teams do. I know we've seen a benefit over the last few years as a result of it. Fine, I'll take it, but otherwise couldn't really give a toss. But I think it's a good idea for them to ask for it. But again, you know what the authorities are like in this country. They will not do it because it would be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I believe I'd seen on Twitter the other day that they've done it twice before, once for Rangers and once for Aberdeen, and that was in 2007 and 2009.
And there would have been mental circumstances. They were probably playing an Azerbaijani team, which, although in Europe is 6 hours flight away, and probably a bit more of a task. I don't know. Yeah. I'm spitting here. I have no idea.
I honestly don't know the games, to be fair, but I honestly think I probably come in the other camp you were talking about in terms of coefficient. I think we've reaped the benefits of having a good coefficient. So if we're in a position this year, we're possibly not guaranteed third if you get Europe. If you get third, I think to try and give us the best advantage, I think it's something they should look at. They've got the space there to do it, so I don't see why, as you said, there's no harm in asking, but I just don't believe, as you've also said, the SPFL will do anything about it without thinking of the consequences, because there's a certain two that'll probably have an issue with it, to be honest.
100%.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Any adds, Kev?
No.
Nope.
Short and sweet. I've stolen his thunder there. Fair
Are you
enough.
sure? Are you sure? Because
100%.
next thing to talk about.
All right. Well, actually, no, I agree with everything that Ando said. I think, I get it. I'm also in the same camp as Ando. I don't really understand why people say it, because of the fact that we have benefited from a coefficient or improvement in the coefficient. But yeah, I don't care. Can't see it happening. Yeah, let's move on and talk about the depressing situation that was Saturday.
Yep. Let's do it then, I suppose. It's the 1 week you wish there's loads of Hearts headlines and loads to talk about and like 15 signings or something, but unfortunately not. So we'll go into it anyway. So obviously, as I said, I wasn't there, or I wasn't able to watch the game live. I've only watched the highlights that were on the Premier Sports YouTube, which seemed to be filmed on some sort of potato, so I didn't really get the full gist of what was going on. But Kev, Ando, you were both at home when it was 2:30 or whatever, when the team got announced. How were you happy? What do you think of the setup? Obviously, Craig Gordon was back in, Stephen Kingsley, Halkett, all that. How did we think the team was?
Want to go, Kev?
Yeah, I think from my point of view, and we've called this out enough, this idea that we have Craig Gordon, excellent, player for the club, in his second spell with us, still a good goalkeeper. There's no getting away from it. He's still a good goalkeeper. But this idea that he will be the cup goalkeeper and will rotate the keepers during the game, during the season, is just not for me. So that the first thing I would have said is Gordon does not appear even for purposes of cup games. We stick with Clark. And the reason I say that is because that allows him to build a relationship with the guys that are in front of him. He's played now 3 games with Penrice, 2 games with Penrice, really competitive games. He has to understand how does Penrice want to get a ball? Does he want it to receive it at feet? Does he want it in front of him? Does he want it in his left or his right foot? Blah, that, similarly, exactly the same with Taylor. So you need to actually play games competitively to build that particular relationship. This idea of, I appreciate that Kent was injured. And we would have had to bring somebody in at the right hand side. And Halkett looked all right for the first 15 minutes, but you could quite clearly see that he wasn't fit. Once we actually got into the game. So again, Halkett, he's not played a game all season. You had Hokey Cokey, what's his name? Daniel. I'm just going to call it Daniel. Yep. It's easier. You had him, and again, and from that point of view, why not just stick with him? Again, it's all about building relationships with the players that you play alongside and understand. That sort of midfield, that sort of 3-4 players that we had, I don't have a problem with that, if I'm being honest with you. I just question Boyce. The boy is lost, and Ando, you might shoot me down here. I doubt it, but you might, given he's your favourite. The boy's got no confidence. There was a number of occasions where he should have struck at goal, played balls in to the middle that didn't really hit anybody. So there's a lot of choices in that starting 11 that, in my opinion, were questionable, to say the least. Go with your strongest team. It's as simple as that. Week in, week out, you go with your strongest team. If you have an injury or you have a suspension, understand it. You have to then rotate. But if you don't need to, don't change your winning team.
Going to put in hindsight for you, Kev, or you could answer this, Ando, but I'm basing it on what Kev's just said. See me looking at that starting 11. With the quality squad we've got, we should be beating Falkirk with that starting 11. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're absolutely right, but I think there is also a little bit of a disrespect was paid to Falkirk before the game, because you've got one idea. So you've got one eye, and you can say this or deny it, doesn't really matter. But we all know it's the truth. Is that you've tried a formation against Dundee that didn't really work, right? And you've been lambasted for it, and then you've reacted and thought, right, well, I'm not just going to switch back immediately. Then I've got one eye on the fact that you're playing Plzen this Thursday, and his taken action accordingly. I think, right, well, this is a chance for me to keep, because there's a fairly decent sized squad we've got. We're playing lower league opposition, and let's be absolutely fair here. Falkirk have only just been promoted. They effectively are a League One team, albeit they are doing well, right? And they won it at a canter, fine. But I had a look at it and thought, nah, I'll just play some just to get minutes in the legs. This is effectively a friendly game. We should be able to walk out here and beat what's in front of us, right? And so to that point, yeah, Tam, you're right. But you didn't want to peel out the heavy artillery for a game against Falkirk. But I think after you've been humbled against Dundee, the one thing you do need to do is like give those
Bounce
players.
Back, I suppose, aye.
Well, yeah. Either give those players a chance to react and prove, basically react to the instructions you've given them. Because he was very quick to say that he was unhappy with the work rate and all that other stuff. Give them a chance to react to that. He never done that, and a lot of these players that played on Saturday probably weren't responsible for the game against Dundee. Went in there thinking their own shit didn't stink, and didn't capitalise on opportunities and got run out of town.
Yeah. Shall we just end it there then, rather than talk for the actual game?
I was going to say I've been writing words down here that I've been trying to work into the second half to talk about the second half of it. Insipid, abject, ignominious, toxic.
Wow.
Well, there we go. I've said them all now. So.
Today or something.
No. Well, it's just to try and sum up just how crap it was. But anyway, let's not moan about it. Actually, no, fuck it. Let's moan lots.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, to start with a positive, obviously, I think the game was fairly. We started quite well. Was that right? First sort of 10 to 15 minutes. Talk me through it, someone.
From my point of view, I think you're right. I think for the first 25 minutes of the game, moving the ball around, people were looking for space, which is something that we've spoken a lot about of very little movement in front of the ball. But everybody was looking for space, and we were looking good. Take your opportunities, and it's a totally different game, right? Now that comes back, in my opinion, on a couple of things. The main thing it comes back on is the quality within the actual squad. Now, we've spoken about this on a number of occasions, is the fact that if there are players out there who improve and give you better quality, then that's just the way it is. That's life. That's football. We are very sentimental to an extent of the players that we actually have on our books at the moment. And Saturday showed it to me anyway, we do not have the quality that is required, and I would rather have a smaller squad with quality than the squad we've currently got with a number of players who are mediocre. That's the way I look at it.
Fair. Actually, I do disagree with the fact of quality, but I think for me, Saturday's lineup was very much players that are coming back, players that haven't played. It was very much like a pre-season game where you're setting up to try something different, whereas we could have went out there, had a good first half, and then changed it and gave Halkett minutes, gave Kingsley minutes, gave Boyce minutes, gave who else that's not really played much, gives Biddle a chance in the number 10 where he done so well for Motherwell last year, rather than continually playing him out wide. I know you've not really sold on him, Mandel, but he's worth giving him a retry at some point in his actual position. But it's one of those things where, as you say, if you take some of those chances in the first 10 minutes, it's a different game. But you've also not got your best goal scorer on the field, who is the one you would want to take one of those chances essentially as well.
Yeah, I think the starting 11 is what the starting 11 is, but I think he definitely did get it wrong, right? I'm not one for like starting with what is perceived to be a weaker team, because obviously you've got players in there that come about Halkett, Boyce especially. The rest of it, I don't think the team is a disaster. I just don't see the logic or the wisdom in changing it to the degree he did. I think the formation is right, but I think he could have had better personnel. And it's just without labouring the point that I've just made about giving the same players a chance to react. I think if you do play a better team than that, you get your business over and done with nice and early, and then to Kev's point, you bring on these guys that you're trying to keep happy by getting minutes in the legs. Everyone walks out of Falkirk with a smile on their face. They've learned from Dundee. We now face into the European game and go, right, cool, because if you'd started Shanklin, for example, there's a chance he could have had a goal, maybe two, whatever. No one knows what could have, should have, would have happened. But if you're looking at you put out a different team, you get a better result. Confidence breeds confidence, and then you go away Thursday in a positive mindset. Whereas just now they're going to be on that plane going, oh fucking hell, right? So what's the formation going to be? Who's going to play? And with the mounting pressure that inevitably comes after two defeats like that, and especially the nature of the defeat, the players are going to start hiding.
That's my concern.
Yep.
You're exactly bang on right, Ando. It's the nature of the defeats, and we've called that out, a number of times. Corbett goes on about it. It's the nature of the defeat that's the biggest issue with regards to that. Mm-hmm. That needs to be, in my opinion, addressed quicker rather than anything about players or something, or such like. It's the attitude that they go out with, and that could be something that also comes into Saturday's game, is the general belief that yes, we are the Premier League squad and we are a Premier League team, so we should automatically just go there and win. So, but I agree with Ando. You're better putting out Shankland and your better players for the first 60 minutes, be 3-0 up, and then swap it round. Give the guys the time in the legs. Hindsight,
Yeah, it's one of those things. So to be honest with you kind of touched on a few things there, but I just wanted to ask, obviously I've seen bits and pieces, but where did it go wrong? What was the issues? Was it an attitude problem? Was it a technical issue? Or were we just not expecting Falkirk to actually show up?
If I'm honest, I think the early part of the game was decent. I thought it was end-to-end stuff. It was a proper cup tie. So we had the ball, made the challenge. They had the ball, done the same thing. So it was very much one end to the other kind of stuff. Where it all started going wrong for me was just before the first half ended. It was like, I don't know if it was almost like there was a couple of things that happened. There was I suppose an incident just before half time when Vargas is lucky to stay in the field, to be honest. And I think you've got the culmination of all the missed opportunities and everything like that. I don't know what's happened at half time, but they've come out and it looks like a completely different side in the second half. What that ultimately comes down to is it's difficult to say. I mean, how many changes were made at half time? In fact, no, there was no changes made. It wasn't until about 56 minutes. I don't know. And if I'm honest, I wasn't watching Falkirk closely enough to see if they had changed anything. I don't know if they really adapted to match us up or whatever. They didn't make any substitutes until well into the 60th minute, but it's almost a case of when they came out, they wanted it more. That's genuinely what it seemed to be.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And we spoke about this pre-show, but that situation that happened just before half time with Vargas, and the boy, he takes one for the team, right? And we all say exactly the same thing. And yeah, okay, I might be being bitter here because I'm still slightly raging at the fact that we got beat on Saturday. But the challenge that's been made on Vargas, in my opinion, merits a red card more than some red cards do. He's on the halfway line. He's went, I'm going to get a yellow card. I'm going to take one for the team, because Hearts were, I think it was either 3-on-1 or 3-on-2 at that particular point. And he's quite literally just booted the ball. He just booted Vargas, up on the thigh. And the challenge was bad enough, but then the sort of wee rub of the head, which is what actually I think triggered Vargas. And I was surprised to see him come out in the second half. I thought Naismith might have hooked him at that particular point. But I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are, but I genuinely think that kind of challenge actually merits it's a greater red card offence than some of the red cards you see down in the byline or edge of the box or whatever. just because of the nature of it more than anything else.
Well, you could get away with calling it a professional foul because that's what it is, right? So I think professional foul is more or less reserved for like last man challenger, whatever the old terminology would be. I don't know. The rules seem to change every season, but for me, it is absolutely cynical. There's no way he's coming out of that challenge with the ball. Like there's just no way, right? So he's taking out the guy with the ball, and you're right. It's 3-on-1, 3-on-2, 3-on-2, whatever. At that point, then you can't say it's a clear and obvious goal scoring opportunity because of where it is on the park. However, you have to be soft in the head to think that there's not going to be a severe chance of a goal happening just with the amount of players that I get. They've still got the half of the field to run, and someone could chase back and all that sort of stuff. So it's maybe not super clear and obvious, but under the badge of professional foul, you definitely could be shown a red card for that, I think. And again, happy to be corrected. I don't know what the rules are these days.
Yeah, but you'll never see it. You never see that challenge merit a red card at all. However, I think paying supporters and that in the stands, if it goes against your team, you're calling for it, and maybe it is something that needs to be looked at, from that point of view.
I suppose the rules are now, is it aggressive with excessive force? Did it come under that category essentially?
Well, he's booted him. He's actually booted him in the thigh. If that's not aggressive force, I don't know what is.
Exactly.
Here's a question for you then, right? So see if Vargas, like it's he pats the guy in the head, so pats Vargas in the head, and Vargas goes mental, right? Do you think if he hadn't have done that, bear in mind the keeper hasn't shown him a yellow at this point because they get booked in sequence one after the other, does he show him a red card for that? Do you think Vargas' reaction almost sort of takes the sting out of the situation?
I don't know there.
It's an interesting question. It really is. I don't think so personally. I don't think so. I think you might have found that Vargas just got himself booked for his reaction, rather than the taking anything away from that part of it.
I can't help but feel that I don't know, and maybe I'm way off the mark here, but just an opinion. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. But then I think if Vargas doesn't react like that, then VAR look at that challenge and go, right, that's a dangerous tackle. Well, I know it's quite high up. It's not dangerous, super dangerous, but it's one of those ones where the VAR desperate to get involved at every single opportunity. And I think if there's not 2 yellow cards shown there, then I don't know. I think they maybe steer the ref towards professional foul territory.
I assume there was none. I was going to say I assume there wasn't any on Saturday with it being.
Well, no,
I think they're only using it in semi-final, aren't they? Semi-finals where they're going to use.
Of course, shit, there was no VAR. Oh well.
I was actually going to ask the question: Do you think if there was VAR, it would have been looked at? So, yeah. So,
well, yeah. If you put that scenario at a ground where there is VAR, then yeah, I think they get involved in that because they're always waiting to have a go. But yeah, apologies, I totally forgot there was no VAR on Saturday.
It's ruined their lives in the last year, and it's understandable. I think it's always wanting to be the centre of attention as VAR because that's all it is.
Very true.
Yeah. Right. True. So into the second half, obviously, from what I've seen, we seemed to be a bit of capitulation in terms of wasn't very many chances on our end. Plenty of chances for them. Obviously, a few individual errors that led to the goals. But Kev, you want to break it down? Tell me about the goals. Tell me what happened. What's your thoughts, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, there was, as Ando's mentioned, there was no changes at halftime at all. So that comes down to, and again, when you're watching it on Premier Sports, you can't really tell whether or not there's been a change in formation from either side. But what it showed from the footage anyway was the fact that with regards to individual, and it's not individual errors in my opinion, it's an individual battle to win a fight, to win that particular one-on-one situation. So if you're the right back and you're hitting, that's the boy that's playing left wing, that's your battle. That's the one that you've got to win. If you're centre mid and it's a centre mid, it's that battle that you have to win. And it felt like, with regards to the actual game itself, that those individual battles, those individual elements was what actually started to impact on our performance. The fact that, yeah, okay, they've got their goal. Poor decisions being made, not strong enough in the challenge. Boyce loses the ball. I mean, I don't even know who he's trying to pass to, but he loses the ball in their third. We are pressing forward, which I guess is where we were in the first half, same point of the game, or the same point of the half, that sort of first 10 minutes. We're pressing forward. Boyce loses the ball. Boyce doesn't run back. So there's your first one. You've also got Danda doesn't run back. And I'm not, this is not on any individual player. But when you see that one of your players in front of you or to the side of you is actually out of position, well, and I played the game anyway, it was, I need to get my arse back into position. I need to cover that particular gap in the park. So we were all of a sudden, we were totally out of position. We were all over the place.
Something we spoke about in the Rangers game as well. I don't know if you go back a couple of weeks where it was a bit positive. Spoke about how the wing backs were going up. People were covering in behind. The midfielders were running up. One of the wingers would drop in behind. And yeah, you're right, spot on.
Yeah, and that's what it came down to. The goal, the first goal itself, and the second goal, if you look at it, is just those individual battles that simply just were not won. And I felt sorry for Kingsley. Kingsley was trying to cover a number of different positions, and then of course when they score, he turns around and looks as if to say, "Well, where the hell was everybody else?"
Yeah.
But again, that comes down to what I've said earlier on: is those relationships, those elements that you have within a game of football. Of I know where he's going to be, I know the run he's going to make. Whereas that run was made, and then all of a sudden you've got a gaping hole at what would be a right back. So somebody's got to go over and cover that. Is then the other person, who in this case was Kingsley, is he then going to cover over where Halkett should be? But then if that's the case, you're still missing. This is where Penrice needs to come in. Or this is where Boateng, who I thought he was, from my point of view, the past 2 games, he's been our man of the match. It's probably a situation where he's maybe one of the first names in your team sheet. I've been that impressed with Boateng so far.
That's good to hear. One positive so far this episode. That's great.
And Penrice.
We've managed
two. Of course. I've done well.
Two. That's good. That's good. Ando, anything to add? I know you nipped away there, but any add in terms of, I was saying there seems to be a lot of sort of individual errors. There's just not the sort of, it looks rusty as well, which I just wanted to add. It's like we're already 3 games into the season, got a big European game ahead. We spoke about it pre-season, how we expected maybe a few more games.
Mm-hmm.
Is it coming down to that now at this point at this stage of August?
If I'm honest, I think we've laboured this over the last couple of pods about I suppose the lack of a pre-season, only having three games. One of them effectively was just like, well, let's say it was 2 games, because the first one was a nonsense, wasn't it? The Leyton Orient game, no one was trying. It's your first game back, effectively, effectively a bounce game. But I think, if we'd maybe had a little bit more in pre-season, fine balance though, isn't it? Because you don't want to have a massively super strenuous pre-season and then be burnt out before the season even gets going. But I think, let's be honest, we've had a couple of difficult games. Like, so Rangers at home is always a difficult game, but we played well in that one. I thought there didn't really seem to be too much wrong. You get a little bit of a ring rust just from I suppose the lack of depth in a pre-season. Dundee away, well, Dundee finished pretty well last season, and they're doing not too bad. I think this season, it's fair to say, I think they'd scored, I heard this on the radio the other day, I think they've scored 29 goals in 7 matches compared to our 3 in 6 matches, right, which is unbelievable. And yeah, so don't want to say they're a big force in Scottish football, because they're really not, but they probably should have been treated with a little bit more respect. And pissing about with a daft shape and tactics against a team that are pretty much on fire was probably the wrong thing to do. And I think we showed Falkirk too much disrespect. So I think there's a lot of elements that are playing against us just now. Lack of pre-season is only one of them. Tactical ineptitude is another, and then you have to question the attitude of some of the players. So I think it's more than just one thing. But I think, if we had maybe had another couple of games, even against just lower league, like play Cowden, play Livy, whoever it is, just to get players fitted into these different shapes that you're wanting to try. We've not had enough time to test these shapes out against other opposition with the new players, so it's not surprising that it's coming unstuck a wee bit. So, I know I'm still angry, and I think we're all angry about what happened on Saturday, but I'm not at the stage where I'm pissing my pants about it and wanting the axe to start chopping heads off or whatever. It's one of those that I'm confident that it will come good, but ultimately it's just so frustrating watching it happen.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I think it would be daft to be chopping heads at this point as well. I think we are set up in a position where we should be in an all right position for going forward for the season.
Yeah,
worries me that we're not knowing week in, week out which Hearts are going to turn up at the moment, though. I think last season we seem to get over that, and we could, regardless of who was on the field or what shape we were playing, we seem to have that level of performance, which we've missed the last two games. So I think it's one of those. Well, I've just said another question for you, though. But where is it we go for here? Obviously, big game on Thursday night. I don't even know if that's the one we should really be concentrating on at the moment, and compared to Sunday's game against Motherwell. But what do we expect? How do we improve? Where do we go for here? Essentially,
my point of view, it depends on what team goes out. I haven't heard anything in regards to Kent, who is probably looked upon in that back four, back five, places as somebody who is a bit of a leader, as such in there. I know he didn't have the greatest of games in the first half at Dens Park, but normally he is one of your, again, going back to what I said earlier, one of your first names on the team sheet. So if he plays, I would expect to see Kingsley play alongside him. Rowles might come in, but I can see them being fairly defensive on Thursday night. Just simply from the point of view that Plzen are actually a very good team. I think I read something in the papers that there's only been something like 5 teams have ever beaten them at home. One Romanian team that I couldn't even remember. And then the next ones are like Real Madrid, Inter Milan, Roma, and PSG or something like that. It's ridiculous, the teams that have actually. Everything else is.
Add HMFC to that list on Thursday.
For long enough, I think the only team that had ever beaten Basel at their home ground in European football was Juventus, and then the Poodle came along and scored in the last 3 minutes, gave us a 2-1 victory. But we need to be, in all honesty, we need to be a hell of a lot better from a communication point of view in that back 5, back 6 players. And I would hope to God that Clark's back in. I'm not saying that Clark being in there would have made any different from Saturday's game, because the 2 goals were more down to defensive errors rather than actually goalkeeping errors. But
that pass.
The pass, yeah. I was going to say that But again, the pass is bad. But where are we? Why are we? Nobody's actually in position to actually challenge and stop the rest of the flow of the game at that point.
So I think Frankie Kent has got like a cornflake toe or something, hasn't he? He's got some sort of
infection.
Aye. Now, let's be honest. How long does it take to get over an infected toe? That seems like the kind of thing you're sitting out one game and then you're getting back on with it, especially when your team needs you.
You're wrapping it up in something cotton wool the next day.
Aye, exactly. Aye.
He doesn't seem like the type of guy that would be out for a long 100%. Time or something like that, to be fair.
So Kent comes back in. Like them, do you persist with the other 3 that started against Falkirk? So Penrice, Kingsley, Taylor.
Penrice will definitely be in on the basis of what we discussed earlier.
And I
Taylor
think
as well.
I think it's still play Taylor. I'm going to give him. This is me being. Shit! You boys have turned me around.
I want him to be good. I really want him.
He is going to be
100%.
good. He is going to be good. He's not
100%.
just going to be shite after one great game, great games, one against Spurs as well.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. How many times has he played on a plastic pitch?
Can't imagine very often. To be honest, I
wouldn't expect him to actually ever play on a plastic pitch, other than maybe training while at the club.
Because Percy played Central and South America, right? I've heard the weather's quite nice down there, so I don't think they need a plastic pitch. So yeah, he probably likely has never played on it. So fair enough.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, as he's probably never played on plastic pitches. And we've spoken about how the ball bounces, how the ball rolls, all that kind of stuff on a plastic pitch. Whether it's a good artificial surface or a shite artificial surface, it just doesn't roll and bounce the same way as it does on grass. So I'm going to give him a free buy in regards to that. But I think he will play on Thursday night.
Give him a buy for Dundee as well, because the shape was changed and he was put further up the park compared to where he'd probably been taught everything in preparation for the Rangers game, as Corbett covered so well last week. So fair enough. Right, so Taylor is going to be a legend on Thursday, and then you've got Kent, Kingsley, and Penrice. Fine, but I think we're all in agreement that Clark is in goal for it.
Yep,
I think Rowells will come in, to be honest. I just think
for who, or as an extra.
I think we'll go back 5. You're right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, but to be fair, you probably are going to have to go over there and defend, because you've just said that nobody's beating these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And they seem pretty bulletproof. So, okay, fair enough. What do you do with the midfield? Sorry if I'm taking over here, Tam.
You're in case
your wee voice is hurting.
I think it's a really good question. Again, I still think Boateng starts. I don't even know why Grant was left out. We've already spoken that Grant is one player that can make a pass and everything else. So do you play Grant and alongside Boateng? Do you play Spittle alongside Boateng? Boateng starts for me.
I think Devlin comes in, to be honest. I don't know if I would, but I think he does.
Again, it's that hot-headedness about him. He'll go in, he makes it, especially in Europe, makes a challenge within 10 minutes, and that's him out the game.
Yeah, true.
So I would question it. And that goes back to what I said earlier on, quality. Sentimental element of...
We're still struggling in midfield, and we've had a full transfer window in terms of those middle of the parks. So, yeah.
That goes down to something I mentioned a few weeks ago. Savage had left the company, right? And it is a company, left the club, company, whatever you want to call it, 6 weeks ago now. Still nobody in to replace him during a transfer window. That says to me there's problems somewhere else within the club.
Yeah, quite possibly.
We should be looking at where do we improve. We've had 2 terrible games. We need a striker. We know we need a striker because we rely so heavily on Shankland. So that's just all of a sudden, that's like it would appear anyway because of the bad results. Nobody's even thinking about that or looking at that as an actual an issue within the club, that we do not have somebody to control that element. Crazy.
So if you've brought in, you've got your back 5, right? So you bring in Rowells and all the other stuff that we discussed already, right? So who's your midfield 2 or 3?
I think a 2 with. I don't know if we'll agree, to be honest. I don't think we say it. So, but I'll go. I think it'll be Boateng, Devlin, and then just slightly forward would be Danders.
Yeah, so Dander, and then what about up top?
I think it goes Vargas Shankland for me.
Okay, so Spittle doesn't get a game.
5-3-2, Kev.
I'm just walking out there.
So I don't think Spittle starts in Europe now.
I'll be honest, I'm fine with that. I think he's one of. I think I covered this last week. He looks like one of these guys that when he runs, he's got a bungee cord attached to him, like he's trying to tow a tractor tire behind him. He's just like running through treacle. I don't think he's going to be quick enough. But then, I don't know. If you're gonna hit a team in the break, play defensive and hitting the break, is Spittle the man to do that? Probably not. So yeah, I think probably doesn't start on Thursday. I think. But that's just me.
What about you, Kev? What about your top Are you agreeing with a back five or a back four?
Yeah, I actually think I'd prefer a 4 if I'm being honest.
I think
like
I would as well.
a
To be honest,
4-3-1-1 would be my preference. And having that, going back to the Rangers game, having that same kind of concept of at times.
Sorry, Kev, did you say a 4-3-1-1?
I get what he means. He's right, but
I was going to say you're a player short, but no, never mind.
No, just from the point of view that when you're looking for like the wide spaces, that's where Vargas goes. From that side of things, as to where the rest of them all sit, that's a bigger question.
No. Well, we'll probably chew over this half a dozen times in our own heads before we see it on Thursday. But I probably worth mentioning, Tam, that we may as well just advertise this for anybody that doesn't follow us on socials. We got contacted by a company today that's streaming the game. Do you want to tell everyone about that?
I wish I'd been prepared for this.
Come on, Tom.
A phone that's about to die. So the company that's got the rights this Thursday are Solid Sport. If you didn't know this already, it's available on pay-per-view for €12 to watch via their website. Nobody else has got it in the UK other than the radio. I don't even know if they're doing it, to be honest, actually, so I may be wrong there. But to be honest, I'd heard it's English commentary, it's a Swedish company. I heard they'd done the St Mirren game and the Kilmarnock game as well on something else, and they'd done a good job of that. So if anyone is wondering, because there was a lot of chat in the community group chat in the days leading up, the last couple of days, being like who's actually showing the game. So that's where it is, essentially, there. But they reached out to us to tell folk that it's on there. So it is on there. Anyone knowing anything about Plzen other than their insane record in the end terms of... and they made 6 changes I've seen as well. So that's good. That's a team that could rotate.
And
the thing is, again, sorry, Dan, don't you go?
I was going to say they're a team that probably knows how to rotate because they're well established, right? So they're a name while I don't know much about them. It's the same as knowing that I don't know much about Maccabi Tel Aviv, but they're like one of the sort of names that you always see in European football, aren't they? So they are under no illusions that they'll be a decent team. You can't appear in Europe every single season, especially in the Champions League, a few times, and just be a shower of nonsense. They will be handy. I'm absolutely sure of that. So, but in terms of knowing anything about them, I know very little.
Yeah, I'm not well up to knowledge in the Czech league, but obviously they have got big teams in there, and they're always in Europe, as Ando said. And I think they got the quarter final against Fiorentina last year, the conference. So yeah.
They won the league. They won the Czech league a couple of seasons ago as well. 21-22, I think I read. So, to win the Czech league a couple of seasons ago, I think they got into Europe, into this stage in Europe from the point of view that they won their Scottish Cup, the Czech Cup, whatever you call it out there. They won that last season. So, definitely, as Ando says, they're definitely a team that know how to do big games. They can rotate. And it's fine rotating as long as you actually have people who actually can play the positions. Again, we rotated and changed position and formation and everything else. That doesn't work. But if you have a left back and you play a left back, you swap another left back for that's simple. But when you start making changes to the formation and everything else, that's where you get complex. And the football's not a difficult game.
True. So, all the best to everyone heading out over to the Czech Republic as well. I'm sure it'll be a class trip. Ando, you've done it, obviously. You went to Prague, didn't you?
I did.
That? I've got that wrong there. I questioned it, but
I know it was class. I think it was very different in 2006 to what it is now. Some of the, I think we call them cabaret clubs, were very choice indeed. But I think half of them are probably shut down now, such is life. But it's a great city to go to. Like I've been there a couple of times on stag do's or whatever. So everybody that's going out there, I'm saying Prague That's where I've been. I've got no idea if Pilsen's anywhere near that.
40 minutes.
To be fair,
40 minutes away, isn't it?
40
I
minutes.
find the majority of folk are actually staying in Prague because
There you go.
they obviously it's so well known and it's only as close as Kev said. I suppose it's like those Norwegian fans. I bet they weren't staying in Paisley when they came to watch St Mirren last week, were they? So
no, definitely not. But I'm sure it's a nice short train journey, and I'm pretty sure I've seen somebody in the community chat saying that they posted a picture at the weekend, so they were flying out on Sunday there.
Right.
So fair enough. If the flight's cheap, then any money you've saved, you can just you can spend on bevy while you're over there. But I'm a wee bit jealous not to be going back to Prague. Well, it was the best football away trip I've ever been on. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I think any of you two there? Tam, I didn't even know you back then, and you're probably about 10 years old.
What year did you go?
2006.
Yeah, I was trying to work out my maths here. 14, sorry. No, I didn't go.
Okay, fair enough. But I know it's it'll be a good one. Just so I hope we get a similar caliber of place to go and visit when we get into the eventual group stage. But they'll definitely be trying to get away to one, maybe two of them. But this one's just too early for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's 650 Hearts fans tickets, something around that. Maybe a wee bit less than that.
A few more were available today, according to the club.
Oh yeah, it was just a few more tickets, wasn't it?
Yeah, a few more tickets became available today. I find that very surprising, given the fact that if you're sat in your house tonight, there's spare tickets. Oh, I'll try and get one, and then try and get a flight out there.
Yeah,
there's a good chance you'll be over there. Maybe try to take the game in a boozer or whatever. But I think the main call is stay safe, guys, and enjoy it.
Absolutely. And then, as we said, even more glamorous trip on Sunday, Motherwell. Kev, you've got the big trip, flights, plane, boat, bus and car to Motherwell on
exactly,
Sunday.
Mate. Definitely. Especially given the fact that the bloody trains are shite in this country.
Yeah, very true.
Have to go all the way into Glasgow and then get a train from Glasgow out to Motherwell. Just for the point of view that drinking and driving is not allowed in this country.
I don't think it's allowed in many countries, Kev.
No,
so it's
that's a fine law. You can slag the Sunday train service, but
apart from
driving,
I think maybe Italy, they seem to be quite up on the drink driving. But good luck to you, Kev.
Shall we even talk about that, or will we just got to predict the two of them?
Well, we won't do another pod before that game, so I think we may as well.
Yeah, what do you expect? So obviously Thursday we've just said probably what we'd consider to be our strongest 11. Do you reckon there will be changes and we'll see a different team from the Thursday night?
A difficult one. I think the nature of Thursday's game might mean. Put it this way: if we go out there and take an absolute hiding, then I don't know. What do you do? Do you persist with a team that gets you absolutely scudded? Which is arguably, it depends if he does play the strongest 11. So if in theory, look at it this way, you play the strongest 11, get run out of town, scudded 4 or 5-0, which I think is unlikely, then there's no way in good conscience you could play that same team on Sunday against Motherwell, when arguably that game matters more, because it's your bread and butter sort of thing. So I don't know. He's the Tinker Man, isn't he? Fast becoming one anyway. So I think we'll probably see some sort of element of rotation. But again, I think that'll be contingent on the result.
Yeah. Kev, what do you like?
Yeah, I think we spoke about it before. Guys like Spittle, Dander, Penrice to that extent. These guys are never brought in to set the world alight in the Europa League or even the Europa Conference League. These guys were brought in to help us on a Sunday stick third place. That was the reason behind picking up these guys who were, for their particular clubs anyway, they were probably standouts last season. So from that point of view, I expect to see all three of them start on Sunday. If I'm being truthfully honest, the one that might not start would be Penrice if he starts on Thursday, and they might play Salazar at left back just to give him a run out and give them legs and all that shit, right? But I'd be, like Ando says, I would be very surprised if you get scudded on Thursday and you don't see a reaction from on Sunday's team sheet. And it is a difficult one. What do? Do you put all your eggs? You try not to put all your eggs in one basket, in my opinion. But as you already said, he's a bit of a tinker man. You might go and I might go and doing that. I'd prefer to come away from the Czech Republic on Thursday night with a draw, or a very small defeat, and really go and get 3 points on Sunday in Motherwell, because that is a hell of a lot more important.
Yeah. Completely agree, to be honest. I think Thursday will be what Thursday is. Like, I would just want a performance. We've seen it too many times. I've been away. Yeah, exactly. And then we've obviously got the good safety net of the Conference League, regardless. But a performance on Thursday and next Thursday, that's all you can ask for. And then Sunday, we really want to see a result. But anyway, that takes us to prediction. So if you go, we'll just do Plzen first, and then we'll go through Motherwell after. So, Ando, what do you think we'll do away in Plzen?
I am not confident that we're going to be rubbing shoulders with the likes of the European superstars that you've mentioned already that have beaten this team before. So I think we are going to get defeated. I think it could be quite heavy, just given the fact that we have struggled to beat an above-average Dundee team, and we have struggled to beat a League One side, or de facto League One side in Falkirk. Then it could be anything, maybe 4-0, 5-0. I have no confidence at all.
Kev?
I think it'll be 3-0 Plzen.
I'll say we will come away with 2-0 defeat. But I think you're right. I think it will be a tough old game, to be honest.
But yeah. It doesn't make or break our season. We know that.
Okay.
And I hate this phrase. I hate to use it in this context, but it is a free hit. You never know. He might turn up and just go, right, let's go and give it our best. If we do give it our best, we get lacerated at the back, and then the end result's still the same. We come away 4 or 5-0 down.
Really. Right. Who started us off last time? I'll switch up. Kev, Sunday, Motherwell.
I guess at the end of the day, Motherwell won their game on Sunday. I think they played Sunday against Kilmarnock. I think they won it 1-0 in extra time. So yes, they'll have plenty of time to recover. The fact that they played 120 minutes will not come into Sunday's game at all. It will be tough. It's a strange place to go. I find Motherwell. Last season, I think it was last season, there was a chance that... That's
right, the football, isn't it?
They properly hate us as well.
Yeah. But last season was no rumour that had we not won the game at Motherwell, then there was a chance that Naismith would be, and everybody else would be chucked. I think we turned that game around. We won 2-1, I think, but that was a game that the boys should have had a penalty. I think Shankly should have had a penalty as well in the second half. So there's a number of decisions that went against us, but we still came out. So I'm going to go Desmond.
Oh. Ando?
Well, I applaud your optimism, Kev. I don't know where the hell you think we're scoring 2 goals from. We've only scored 3 in 6 matches so far, so it's a difficult one. We're coming up against a Motherwell side that effectively got the same record as us. In fact, no, we've lost 1 more goal than they have, but a draw and a loss in their opening 2 games is difficult. Motherwell are a fairly poor team from the little I've seen of them so far this season. Like, they've obviously lost a couple of players or whatever. I don't know. It really all hinges on what happens on Thursday. I just don't see us being able to go into Motherwell with any sort of swagger. I think there will be no wind in the sails. Oh God, man, it sounds so negative, but this is... I'll be honest, I don't think we'll get beat. I think it'll be a 0-0. It's got 0-0 written all over it.
Would you take that just now?
A 0-0
No.
against Motherwell. I'd be raging with a 0-0. If it's that or a 3-0 defeat, then obviously you take the 0-0. But yeah,
Of course, of course.
I think no. I want the win. I just I'm being real here. I just don't think we'll get it. It'll be 0-0. Or a
Well,
hard fought 1-1.
I think Motherwell are garbage this season. I genuinely do. So I'm just gonna put everyone out there, and I think we battle them 3-0. There you go.
Fucking hell, man. Yeah.
What are you drinking tonight? You're drinking something really
just
strong.
diluting, mate. Just diluting.
You on glue? What you want to start?
The glue.
Actually got some glue here.
There you go.
I
See?
was sniffing it. Like, Christ. But no, they are garbage. They look no very good at all. So maybe they get a wee confidence boost against us, but I genuinely think we beat them. So there you go.
I've just arranged with Kev as well, pre-show, to maybe go to that game. So there's the kiss of death that you wanted.
Exactly, I know. Yeah.
So.
Right, anyway, boys, so we'll see you next week. Kev, I doubt you'll be wanting to do the Sunday night, so it's probably going to be the Monday, Tuesday. Yep.
Yeah,
but we'll leave it at that. Anyway.
Maybe you do want to do Thursday. Maybe you do want to do Sunday night.
Do the Sunday night. But,
if I'm up there for the game on Sunday as well, there's no way I can get back home at a reasonable hour. No chance. So
to be honest, we keep saying
Sunday
Sunday.
Next week.
We've done one Sunday or something like that anyway, so I think we'll just stick to whenever it's out, it's out. But nice one, boys. Thanks for the night anyway. And hopefully Corbett's back next week, so you get a bit more positivity. Nah.
And better hair.
Well, Corbett's telling up, Bill.
Exactly, yeah. Nice one, boys.
Right, lads.
See
you later.
Go grill.